Hello, I'm RN Glenn, aka Nurse Dad, former Navy Hospital Corpsman, current ER nurse, and host of the Nurse Dad podcast, available on YouTube and Spotify. For more information, you can go to www.mynursedad.com. And while you're there, please hit subscribe. It'll subscribe you to my YouTube. And there'll be a pop-up. Please fill it out. You'll get my 35-page free guide, and it also enrolls you into my newsletter. I won't over-email you. I won't spam you. And I'm very happy to have a fellow medical professional, a CNA. In fact, he has been my certified nursing assistant on occasion. He's excellent at what he does, and he has a unique background. Do you want me to call you Fred or Fredner?
You can call me Fred.
All right, Fred. I'm honored to have you on here, my friend. I always say that a good nursing assistant is worth their weight in gold. Every nurse can, right off the bat, feel the difference in their shift when they have an outstanding certified nursing assistant, which is what you are. I'm not blowing smoke. It is true. You're great at what you do. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be with you. You asked me before for that. It was like 2 months ago or a month.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, let's do it then.
At first, you thought your accent might be a little too thick, but I understand you just fine. I'm sure everyone else will. And we live in the age of closed captioning. If people really need some assistance, I'm not going to let that hold us back, because you have a very unique background. I want to get into who you are today, what your plan is, but you are an immigrant from Haiti. When did you come to the U.S.?
It was December 25th, 2023.
2023. So you're in your 20s now. How old were you then?
Yesterday, 26.
You turned 26 yesterday?
Yeah.
Oh, man. And you had college this morning, and you don't seem hungover. Yeah. So that is a mature individual there.
Yeah, because you told me yesterday. I was like, nah, I'm not going to go out. I'm not going to drink a lot because I know it. We have something today.
Oh, I appreciate that. I would have postponed it, but thank you very much. But I don't feel too guilty because you had school today.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you're going to nursing school, and the hospital you work at is covering those costs, right?
Yeah.
Or like a lot of the cost.
I mean, for now, I'm doing the pre-work. So when you're a full-time employee, they help you as they can. All right. So when you get into a program, they pay everything for you. You're full-time.
I want to bring that up because in this age where college is getting more expensive and seems out of reach for a lot of people, including myself, it's one of the reasons why I joined the Navy, because I knew I would come out with the GI Bill and I'd be able to go to nursing school after. I just want to put that out, that there are other ways to try to obtain your degree, ways that will mitigate the cost. And we will get back to that. Now, if I didn't know some of your background already, I would think that, hey, did working at a hospital inspire you to go into the medical profession? But your father is actually a physician, right?
Yeah, he is.
But he is still in Haiti?
He is still in Haiti with my family, mom, dad, brother, and sister. Yeah.
What made you come here? Did you have a friend here? Was this part of your grand plan to come here and get an education?
Come to America before it was a choice. All right. So 2021, and then I remember that. So I applied for Broward College in Florida. They answered me because it was like COVID. So they had a lot of people trying to get in. And then they answered me. They were like, yes, you're allowed to come over. But I was like, in Haiti, I had like my whole plan. I'm probably in America, I'm a CNA, but in my country, I had a great background. I was a lawyer in my country. And then I worked for NGO for 2 years. I had a good career back there. So I was like, nah, I'm not going to come. But it became like worse years and years. So my dad was like, you're going to have to go. So I was like, all right, I'm going to do it. So I come over to 2023 to start a new career, to start over.
Did your dad's background inspire you?
Of course, yes. Because when I was younger, he was like, I want you to become a doctor or a lawyer. That's why I am a lawyer now, or I was. I was like, all right, I'm going to do it for my dad. I didn't really see me in the medical field before. But 2021, 21, 22, I remember that because of gang violence, I went to a spot and then I saw 2,000 people sleeping on the street. 2,000, almost 3,000 sleeping on the street. And then I was working for NGO. And then I was like, I feel I had to do something for that. And then I called my dad. I was like, Dad, I know you are not working officially, but I saw those people. I feel like I have to do something. I know I'm nothing. I don't have the opportunity. I don't have the money for that. But I was like, yeah, I have to do it. And then I called my dad. I was like, what we can do? And then he was like, all right, so what I can do is I can do a mobile clinic, help them. Some of them, they don't have the money to go to the hospital. And then I was like, yeah, we can do it. And then I go see my director and then my CEO and for the NGO. And I was like, hey, so I have 2,000 people, they need help. I know you guys probably cannot just help them, like all of them, but if you can help at least 25, much as you can, help them. And then they were like, all right, you have a plan? I was like, yeah, my dad is a physician and then he has contact. And then they were like, all right, okay, so let's do it. We want to meet your dad. They meet my dad, they talk, and then they love my dad because he's a great man. And then I'm so proud of him too. So
Yeah, he
they were
sounds like a
like,
great
okay.
man.
And then they were like, okay, so he was like, I'm gonna give you doctors for free. He called his friends. They were like, okay, so we want to do it just for the community. They just want to do it for Haiti. My dad called probably like three other physicians. And then I think it was like 20 nurses. They were like, okay, just for free, not for money. They didn't have medical equipment. It wasn't like something, they have everything. No, it was on the street. And then I remember one day, there's a little girl, she was about to die. She was dehydrated, and then she was probably 7 years old. I think I have a photo. I can show you that photo too. And then my dad tried to give her like a fluid, but she has like tiny vein. And then my dad was trying, and then he had the vein to give her fluid. But the
Right.
thing is, we didn't have like pole to hook the fluid up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my dad had to hook the fluid in a tree. And then the kid, she was on the floor. And then after 10 hours, 7 or 10 hours, she was up. And then she was so grateful for that. And then my dad again delivered a woman with like just a blade.
People
Just a
underestimate
blade.
dehydration. You'll feel better. You'll
Yeah.
feel a lot better with fluid. What you're
Yeah.
describing, I don't even have to go into the military because, of course, when I was giving aid to Marines in the field, we didn't have IV poles and all that. But even
Yeah.
during the height of COVID in Queens, we were taking hangers, or I was making these like loops with the tape, with the silk tape, and hanging it
Yeah.
on whatever I could find. Sometimes I would partly open up a door and just use the top of the corner of the door and then tape that on, constantly
Yeah.
improvising. It sounds like you're also a great organizer because what you just spoke about was your hustling techniques and also selling the importance of what you needed to do to get all that done. So I commend you for that, Fred. You spoke about gang violence and you spoke about your friends, like to me offline. And I just wanted to get just to paint the picture of where you're coming from and what you've seen. Could you
Yeah.
describe just how bad some of the gang violence is in Haiti? It's got to be something like what fuels you, what has shaped your eyes in the world. If you could just delve a little bit into that.
Okay. So when you're born in a country like America, like a safe country, I'm not gonna be like there's no violence, but it's safer than Haiti. When you're born and grow in a country like that, you're gonna see like Haiti, the hell. But when you're born in Haiti, born and raised in Haiti, there's something people gonna see like a big deal. It's not. I'm not gonna be like it's nothing, but it's something. But I don't feel it the way you feel it. Haiti, you don't have the choice.
Yeah, you get
You
you
have
you
to
you
be a
get
survivor.
not to cut you off because it's like no matter what happens here, you still can call 911. There's a lot of
Yeah,
resources. There you're on
yeah,
your own, I would imagine.
yeah,
I've been to countries like Haiti, but you are on your own.
yeah. So I'm trying to do my best. My English is not that good,
No, your English is
but
great.
thank you. Honestly, in Haiti, you don't have the choice. You got just one choice. It's one way. You have to be like a survivor. You're supposed to be a hustler. Otherwise, you're not gonna be successful. You have to be like careful because I remember that I was 23 or 22. I don't really remember. I was in my car chilling with my friends, and then I heard something. And then when I just take a look on my left, there's a guy with a gun. He was like, "Give me a phone." And I was like, "All right." So I was on the phone too. I was like, "All right, okay." I just give it to him. And then he was like, "Give me a gun." So who told you that I have a gun? I didn't have a gun. I'm just a teenager. And then I was like, I don't have a gun. And then he was like, "Next time I see you, it's gonna be another thing." I was like, "What do you mean?" And then he was like, "Yeah, probably I'm gonna kill you because in Haiti, when you're making money, that money, when you're like a young boy or young man, and then you're making money, other people who don't really have the opportunity to go to work, they see you as a competitor. You're against them. In Haiti, when you work for the government. You just go to school. I went to school and then I have friends, they helped me a lot. And then I had a job. And then I was a hustler too. I had my own business. Me and my dad, we tried to do things together because me and my dad were like criticals. We're like two brothers. So we had to do it. And then he was like, next time I'm gonna kill you. And I was like, okay. So I called my dad. My dad was like, damn, so what we supposed to do? I go to another state for like a couple months, probably 3 or 4 months, so that things can calm down. And after that, I come back. I saw them again, and then I don't think they saw me. I saw them, and then I just tried to hide. And then after a couple hours, I just go home, and then it was like that, like over and over. When I had to go to work, I couldn't use my car because they know my car. I remember one day, so I parked in front of my job. They broke the window, and then it took everything, like my bag and everything. And then it was like that for 2 years. And then my dad was like, I don't think you're supposed to do that again. So every day, one day gonna come, and then you're
They're
gonna
gonna
have
find
to,
you one day. Yeah.
yeah, they're gonna find you one day.
Wow. That's literally somebody threatened your life. The next time I see you, you're out of here. We're gonna do something to you. That's a big motivational factor there. That was normal for you. A lot of that exposure to gang violence.
At the beginning, it was a great country. For my first 17 years, it was like a magical island. It was like magic in Haiti. I know some things happened before, but at the beginning it was great. So
You
I
can
didn't
live.
see
You can live
myself
your.
go to,
You can live your
yeah, I
life.
didn't see myself go to another country to go to school. I didn't see myself start my career to another country, but I had to do it now.
And I'm glad you did because your story is inspirational. It's very American in the best sense of the word. So you came here, and what was like the first job you tried to go? Did you try to work for a hospital? What was the first thing? I know you probably had to hustle a little bit. There's things I can't discuss on the
It's
podcast.
like that,
I
why
was a
I'm
hustler
laughing is
too.
that why I'm laughing is that I'm doing my prereq, and then I have English 101. My professor, he gave us some homework last week. It was due yesterday. I had to give him something about me. So I went about the story when I first got here. When I first got here, I was still working for my NGO. It was online because I was like director for major stuff.
When you not to cut you off, just so people know, what do you mean by angio?
NGO is like organization. It's private stuff who help people with disabilities or people who cannot afford stuff.
You work for that company? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I work
Okay.
for them. Yeah, and then I spent 2 or 3 years working for them. And then when I come over, they contact me. They was like, Fred, I think we have a new job for you in Boston. And I was like, no, because I'm not gonna do the same thing. So that's another country. I'm supposed to socialize. I need to know people. I need to know the country and everything. So I was working for them for 6 months. And then the money in Haiti and money in America is different. And then
Right.
I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try to work in America. I speak two languages. I speak French and Creole. I was trying to speak English. I didn't go to school for English. I speak English by watching videos,
Right.
listening to music and stuff. And then I called my cousin. I was like, I think I'm gonna try to work as a stalker in a warehouse and stuff like that. And then she was like, if you want to become big, you're gonna have to think big and dream big.
Mm.
At the beginning, it was
Good
like
advice.
just word. At the beginning, it wasn't like that for me. It was like just advice. I was like,
Right.
all right. So I'll apply in a warehouse as a stalker, overnight stalker, to work at 11 in the morning and then done at 7 in the morning, 11 p.m. to 7 in the morning.
Okay.
And then my cousin, I was like, I need another job because when you're in America, I'm the oldest one in my family. So it's not an obligation, but you have to take care of your sibling.
Right.
I was like, I need like a bigger job than that. And then my cousin was like, you can apply for the hospital. I stay. English. How can I
Yeah.
work for a hospital? And then emergency department? I was
I
like,
know.
that's not gonna happen. That's when she said something that made me who I am now and then make me still going. She said that the worst they can say is no.
Right.
I was like, what that mean? She said, you can apply to become pilot. The worst they can say is no. And then start over, try again and again.
Yeah.
And the worst they can say is no. I just sent my application, and then 3 days after, they call me. And I was like, wait, oh no, they called me. I was like, okay. So I study stuff when you get ready for an interview. I
Yeah,
study stuff. And then I went to the interview and then I started talking about my dad who inspired me. So I want to start as a CNA. And then probably when I'm going to be a nurse, I'm going to be like still with you guys. And then they were like, I remember our supervisor, she was like, you got the job. And I was
that's
like,
great.
I heard it. She said, I got the job. But in my head, I still don't get it. Oh, I got the job. And
That's
then I
good.
went home. I called my mom. My mom said, thank God. My cousin, they were so proud of me. I didn't have 1 year in the country. It was 9 months in the country without English. Can you imagine?
I
Even when you
know.
speak English, emergency departments, it's not for weak people.
It shows that you didn't intend to come here because you didn't bother learning English. You were going to stay in Haiti. You had a good 17 years, you said, and you were
Yeah,
happy in Haiti. And then you
I
just kind of
was.
thrust into a new life. When you went to that
Yeah.
interview, did you already study to be a certified nurse's assistant or aide? I'm not even sure if it's assistant or aide. I like assistant, but did you already study for that or did you get hired and then do that?
I went to school for that. I went to school my third month in America
How long did that take
to
you?
to become a nursing assistant.
Yeah.
2 months, almost 3 months. 3 months. Let's say 3 months.
You can accomplish a lot in 3 months of intense
Yeah.
work. I don't think the college style approach, I think it's clearly about money because they just take everything and they spread it. In the Navy,
Yeah.
I had after boot camp, I had 3 months of A school to learn how to be a corpsman or a medic for those that don't know what a corpsman is. And then after that, 2 months of training to be able to work in the field with Marines, to take the clinical skills and bring it to the field outside. And then a couple of refresher classes here and there. But when I went to nursing school, in my view, just such a waste of time. It was so spread out. Not for everybody,
Yeah.
but if you have a background, it could be daunting. But I commend you for going through it. Didn't you tell me you do want to be a physician in the end? Like your end game is to be a physician, or are
Mhm.
you going to become a nurse one day, maybe go to school to be a nurse practitioner? What is your plan after nursing? Because I know you enough to know you have a plan afterwards.
That's my main plan. Become a physician.
But why the
I am here
nursing
by
route?
myself.
Why not go to pre-med? Is it because you could do it in steps, get your education, become a nurse, and then from there? Because I know of one guy, he was a nurse and then he went to med school and he wanted to do that. He wanted to gain experience as a nurse and he knew by sticking in the hospital system, he would have help to go to med school. It wasn't like he thought he was going to pay out of pocket for everything. He just became a physician after, from the moment he decided to become a nurse to becoming a physician, it's probably 15 years of his life, but he was a hell of a nurse, especially during COVID. I worked with him. He was incredible. And I'm sure he's going to be an amazing physician.
Like I told you before, when you are Asian, you don't have the choice.
Right.
Sometimes you're gonna be in front of situation. You're gonna be like, hey, I gotta do this. I gotta do that. I would like to go straight to school to become a physician. As an Asian, I cannot just do it like that because I have family. My question is, who's gonna pay for school? Okay, my job gonna probably pay for me to become a physician. That's gonna probably take me like 7 years or 6 years. So what about my family? It's like my mom. I remember last year, my mom just called me. I received a call and then she was like, Fred, we had two houses. They took one already. And then she was like, Fred, they took our second house and then
Oh,
they burned
man.
it. I was like, dang. I had to go to school. I had like classes. I dropped some classes. I dropped some classes so that I can pay less and then provide my mom for a couple months. Because if I'm going to school to become a physician, am I really gonna make CNA's money for 4 years or 5 years? So what I'm gonna do is, thanks to my friend, my best friend, one, he helped me a lot, and then that's one of the things he told me. I'm gonna go. I am a CNA already. I'm making CNA's money. I'm gonna go for LPN, and then making LPN money, go to RN, make RN money, and then go to physician. So while I'm going to school, I'm still gonna help my family.
That makes
Can you
sense
see
because
exactly?
you could, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Doing it in
Yeah,
steps. You have a really keen eye for evaluating what your life is now, what you need now, you also have that family connection because it's not just about you. You have a sense of duty to your family. And yeah, that's a very good plan. And in each step, you have the ability to take advantage of benefits from the hospital in covering school cost.
Yes. Like I told you, my family, I was there like what, less than 2 years ago. I know it. I know how that feel living in Haiti. So when I come over, it wasn't that easier for me to catch up. Now I can have a plane to become a physician. I can have a plane for 2 years, 5 years later. If I'm here in Haiti, you cannot make a plane for 5 years
Right.
because you don't know if you're not gonna die tomorrow.
The stakes are so dramatic. It's do this or you might be dead.
Exactly. So you have to plane like short. You're gonna have to have like short plane, probably a week, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months. Yeah,
Right.
don't go crazy. You're gonna have a plane for 2 or 3 years. You have it in your head,
Yeah, the
but
back of your mind.
exactly, you cannot really plane because you can just go outside. You could be like, all right, I'm just gonna stay home. I'm not gonna go out. But you have to go out to survive. And then sometimes you can stay home and then they come take you inside of your house. So there's nothing you can do. So you cannot really plane. But in America, yes, I can plane. So my little sister and brother, they are twins. They
How
are
old how old are
17.
they? Oh, 17. Okay.
17. Yeah, they are 17. For now, they are just kids. But when they're gonna be like 19, they're gonna think about university. They're gonna think about having a life. They're gonna think about stuff like that. And hey, they're closing your university. What I'm gonna do? I'm supposed to get ready first. If I am going to school to become a physician,
You're not
they're
making
gonna
money.
exactly. I'm not gonna make money enough to cover them. If I'm a LPN by the time they're done to school, they just have 2 more years. By 2 more years, I'm supposed to become at least a LPN or become an RN in 3 years. Okay, so probably I'm gonna make enough money to provide them and then probably take them out the country. But
Yeah.
not how. Can I do it? No.
Because people
Okay.
don't you do have more power. Money is power.
Yeah.
It may not sound good, but the more money you make, the more money you keep, the more
Hmm.
power you have, the more ability you have. I learned that even just social power or clout, you get more power as you get older. People take you more seriously. Or
Yep.
when
Yep.
I got out of the Navy at 33 or 34, I didn't have my bachelor's degree. And I got to tell you, people treated me like there was something wrong with me. I was in school. I had just served the country. People were like, "Oh, thank you for your service." But at the same time, I felt like I was out of the club. People were, "Well, you talk to me in a couple of years," which was a pretty crappy feeling. And I'll never forget it. This is why I don't put a big deal in people's degrees like that.
Yep.
But the truth of the matter is, you have more power in everything that you do. The steps that you're taking to have more money, to have more power, to be able to be taken more seriously when you bring your siblings into the country, that's a very real thing. It's not just, oh, if I can think it and dream it, it'll happen. You have to really plan and line
Yep.
everything up and make it happen because life isn't going to give you anything. And it's great that you see that. What I know about you is you don't dwell in what you can't do. That is so not just
No,
seem
but
to always have your eye on the prize and how to get there. I'm envious of that. I have that, but it came a little late in my life. I didn't have it in my 20s. I tried to do it like what you said. I was thinking too broad. I was thinking about what I want, the biggest thing that I want. I wasn't thinking enough about the steps it takes to get there. You certainly do. I don't think you had a choice because for you, you were thinking in terms of how do I live, literally live. And it's also great because it's so irritating sometimes to talk to people who are born here and all they do is complain and talk about what they don't have and how bad everything is. They've never had to experience that life or
yeah,
death
man.
hardship like you have. And here you are. You have every excuse to be a complainer, but you're
No,
not. You're not. If
not even my story. I don't really like to talk about my story because some people they gonna think you're using your story to make them feel bad for you.
no, blame
I'm not
me.
like
I'm the
that.
one that asked the question.
Exactly. So I don't really like to talk about that. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna talk about it, not for me, but not even for Asian. I'm talking to everybody. So
Everybody.
that exactly. So that you can feel like you're gonna have to stop thinking like that. If you're here, you're breathing. Even you miss a hand, a arm, or legs. You living, you breathing. Be grateful, and then just keep going. So when they feel bad for you, what's gonna happen? They're just gonna feel bad. I'm not gonna be like, I don't really like people help me. But I feel when I'm do things by myself, I feel like more comfortable. If people want to help me, of course, yes, I appreciate that. But I'm gonna still help myself.
Right.
I'm not waiting for people to help me. Don't feel bad for me because
You'll wait your whole life for people to help you.
I'm
You'll wait
writing
your whole
my
life.
own story. Because when I met like teenager like me, I'm always be like, listen, try to be like the hero of your life, of your own story. Because one day you're gonna have kids. So what if they ask you question, ma'am or dad, I'm facing that situation. What should I do? Would you gonna lie to them? You're gonna just invite a story and just to tell them? No. When you tell them about your true story, your own story, they're gonna be like, my dad, like my dad. My dad is a hustle. My dad is a great guy. He inspired me. He made me feel like I can fly because when he was young, he never gave up.
Yeah.
That's who I want to be for my kids. I'm doing that not just for me. I'm doing that for my next family.
Do you tell me about a run you did with your father where there were dead bodies or pieces of bodies around and you were if you're comfortable to get into it. I've had people on the podcast. I've had a woman who was abused by her partner. This man broke her kid's femurs. I've
Damn.
had buddies who are combat vets, one in particular who lost his legs, and now he's about to become the first amputee to run a half marathon on all 7 continents. It's important that people hear these stories and see that you're still resilient, you're still positive, you're still hopeful. That's the only reason I delve into it. And for me personally, I love to get to know people more. But if you're comfortable going into it, one more time, because if you're not, then that's fine.
Yeah, we can talk about that. That's okay. I remember that me and my dad, I was about to go to school. He was driving, and then we were talking about future. Me and my dad, we always talking about life, about future, about business. So we were talking, and then we saw like mad people like together. In Haiti, when you see people together, it's like something happened. And then my
Right.
dad was like, you know
Right.
what? Let me go see what happened.
You're
And
not
then I go with him.
there's no street festival or anything like that happening.
No,
It can only be a catastrophe.
when I went, I saw like people. I saw an accident. It was a car accident. And then I saw blood, like mad blood. I still don't get it. People, they were using their phone to make videos. Videos of what? Of a woman under the car crying. Body was under the car. And then they were like using their videos. They didn't call ambulance because in Haiti, they don't really know how to call ambulance. They didn't call police officer. No, it was like just videos. And then my dad was there, and then my dad was like, "What are you doing?" And then
Right.
he was like, "Can you guys help me lift the car?"
That
And then
behavior also, not to cut you off, that behavior also happens sadly in the US.
oh yeah, I can see that too. And then my dad, we left the car, and then somebody else just pulled the woman over. But the thing is, when we left the car, there's 3 more bodies. What are you doing? It was just the woman because half of her body was outside. And then when we took her out, she was amputated. So half of her legs was just cut off in half. My dad wasn't like be afraid about the situation. He just took the part of the body, like the leg, he just took it and then just give it to me. I was 20, I was 22, and then he just give it to me for the first time. The woman, she was breathing on that side, and then I got half of her body on my hand.
Yeah, that's
My dad didn't think that he's my son, so I'm supposed to protect him from this. No, it was like you're gonna have to see this. You're gonna have to handle this because you're living in Haiti. So you're gonna have to do it. It's not education stuff. It's he just give it to me, and then I was like, all right, I took it, and then I have a license on communication. And then people, you know that better than me. So some people, you're gonna have to keep them awake so that they don't pass out. Don't talk too much because if you talk too much, they're gonna have to make like full sentences. So
right.
they're
Yeah.
gonna probably like just pass out.
Just
So you're
enough
gonna
to
have
keep them
to ask
awake.
them some questions. Exactly. It was like the best deal ever. My dad as a doctor, me as a communicator. I have a license on communication. And then I was like, all right. I was asking for question so that the woman she can just answer me. We had to drive her on our car. There was a lot of blood, and then I just have the leg in my hand, and then I was talking to the woman, and then my dad was driving so fast. The woman, my dad's different. The other one was working, and then this side was amputated. So we had to take her, and then we put her in the ambulance, and then I forget the body. I forget the legs on my
Right.
hand. I was
Yeah.
sitting like this. I was like freezing. And then my dad was like, give me the leg. I was like, oh, here. And then after that, I was covered of blood. I had to go back home. Guess what? I washed myself and then I go straight to school. I didn't
Oh
stay
man.
home traumatized. I had to
Right.
go to school because I love school. I love to go to school. I had to go to school because I was going to school to become a lawyer. So I had to go to school. In
Yeah.
Haiti, you can be friends with a guy. You guys grow up together, and the next thing you know, he just died. So it is what
Yeah,
it
because
is.
of the gang violence. You highlight what I've always said is the most important and powerful part of being a caretaker, and that's being human, just being a human being. Like we keep hearing about empathy, and these words, they really don't mean anything if people don't understand what they mean, or they've never been in a position where they truly have to be empathetic. Because the first thing you need to be is brave. And if you're afraid to help somebody, or you're going to tell yourself it's not my problem, you're not worth anything. And that's not anything you
No.
can learn in school. And that's not anything a clinical is going to teach you. It comes from life. It comes from paying attention. It comes from reminding yourself that people aren't their politics. People aren't their degrees. Nobody's better because they have a master's degree and this person has an associate's degree. It's just seeing people for who they are and being human. I think probably you had an advantage growing up because you saw a lot of painful things and a lot of things that reminded you that you're alive, but you can be unalive very quickly. If you're encountering death, you're going to evaluate yourself. You're going to think about who am I? A lot of people, they
Yes.
live their whole lives and they don't think about who they are.
Exactly.
They just learn whatever school tells them to know, and they just know what they like and what they don't like. And there's so many things that are more important than that. I got a big dose of that in the military and going around the world, but your average person, especially growing up in a relatively safe country,
Yeah.
even if you're poor, but in a relatively prosperous country, you can still put yourself in a hole where you don't look at other people or look at other people even in your own community. But you don't have that problem, Freddie. I got that right off the bat when I met you. Now, focusing on the job, we'll go back. Thank you for sharing your background. I thought it was really important that people get a good dose of who you are. Otherwise, like me, just another nurse talking about their job or another certified nursing
Yeah.
assistant talking about his job. I think it's important that they get to know who the person is behind the job. I want to get your take on something. I find that in terms of patient satisfaction, basically patients being happy about their care, I find that the most important job for the patient is what you do, not what I do. And I'll tell you why. I'm borrowing the language of an author, Stephanie. She wrote a book called Debrief, and she calls it care versus caring. I, as the nurse, I'll care for the patient. I'll hang the medication. I'll report some of the results that they're waiting for, like in the blood work. I'll do certain procedures. A lot of what you do is caring for the patient, whether it's food or if it's new bed sheets or just the little details of making sure they're comfortable. I think that's why when people complain about a nurse, even though the nurse does all these things, I think it's because of a lack of caring that the nursing assistant gives. I think it's probably somebody who felt like they weren't fed on time, or they had dirty sheets, or they never got that pillow. And you do a lot more than just that. But I'm just trying to highlight that I've worked at certain hospitals where I don't have a nursing aide. I think the hospital that we work at, and I work at other hospitals also, but the one that you work at, that we work at together, I think they're really good about always having nursing assistants. But there's hospitals where I don't have someone like you, and you get a lot more complaints. Even though I'm doing the job, I'm just so busy. I can't do what I do and what you do all the time. You do bring a little bit of that human touch. Whereas as a nurse, I'm trying to care for the patient, but you get so busy, you do have to do a lot of tasks, multiple patients, responding to codes. You give that real detailed treatment. I just want to see if you agree with this, that it's really what you do that makes the patient more happy. Would you agree with something like that?
I am agree with you like 100% because I'm not gonna be like the nurses, like you, Glenn. I work with you often. You help a lot. You don't just do RN's job. You do CNA job too. We are both caring.
Yeah.
All right. So
And
we
we
are
work
both
well
caring.
together,
On
you and
our
me.
exactly.
And a lot of
So
times we don't have to
the
talk about it. When we get a new patient, I like to get a new set of vital signs because a lot of
yep,
times the vital
yep,
signs are in triage. Blood pressure's higher, heart rate is up. I feel like when they get a bed or something, they're a little bit more relaxed. Whatever the case is, typically blood pressure is down, heart rate is down. And you understand that. And so we work well together. We don't really have to talk a lot
exactly.
about what we need to do.
If you work with a nurse, if a nursing assistant working with a nurse just for a job, it's gonna be boring. But if we do what we're doing because we love it, because we need to help, we both caring. You and me, you become a nurse because you care about people. Like that podcast. You could do like a podcast like about anything else, about like army. You choose the nursing part because you love what you're doing. And then me, I love what I'm doing because every single time you give a medication to a patient, and then me, I help the patient to feel comfortable. When the patient leave alive and then healthy, I feel comfortable. You
Right.
feel you're doing so you are doing something in life.
That's a
And
good
then
way
we are
that's a
working on
good way
our
to put
team.
it. That's a good way to put it,
Yeah,
that but I have a sense of duty. Also, my mom will go to the doctor, go to the hospital. How can I trust that they're getting good care if I'm not gonna do my best to provide good care?
yes,
Times, even if you don't love it all the time, you have to have a sense of why are you here and how could you expect somebody to do a good job if you're not doing a good job? I think that sometimes
exactly.
that plays a role. It's also worth noting for hospitals who don't hire enough nursing assistants, let alone nurses, because they clearly care about the bottom line, which is making money, but they also care
Yeah,
about patient satisfaction. They want those patients to come back. And I'm telling every hospital system right to your face that if you want people to be happier, you make sure you have more nursing assistants. Even if you don't hire more nurses, you're going to make your nurses more happy and they're going to probably stick around longer. So,
exactly.
so nursing assistants are extremely important. I would imagine that as you become a nurse one day, LPN, get your BSN, become a physician, you are going to be outstanding on top of your background because you're not going to forget the little guy.
No,
You're not going to forget
no,
about how important
no.
the CNA is or the nurse or the PA because you'll know how every stage of healthcare is important.
Exactly. And then on top of that, there's a fusion between nursing assistant and nursing. We're not gonna lie, some nursing assistant they don't like this nurse don't really like this nursing assistant. So where I'm working, I make sure that I'm always happy and then make everybody feel like they're comfortable. Make that happen for them. It's like you are in a fight, your body got your back. But sometimes when the patient they have a bed, you are so busy in like looking about other stuff,
Yeah.
you don't really pay attention. And then
No.
they're waiting for the patient. If I am like, I don't care, I'm gonna do the transport, so I don't care, I'm not ready for that, I'm not gonna tell you nothing. So what's gonna happen? They're gonna be like, oh Glenn, he's slow. He's slow. I got your back all the time. I was like, Glenn, the patient I have a bed. You give report already? I got you. When the patient is
Yeah.
discharged, I'll go grab the chart and then give it to you.
That's also interesting. I've always found with triage, we're always going to help the person who needs it most. That's why a lot of people who go
Yep.
into the ER for a cut finger, they get so mad because
They
they
book
think that
them.
they could just come in and they can leave quick because, yeah, we could take care of you quick, but we also have several people with chest pain, bleeding.
Yep.
That's why you're waiting a while. But to get to my
Difficulty
point,
breathing and everything.
one of the interesting things you hinted at it, like with people thinking, oh, what's going on with Glenn? Is he slow? Is like you have the triage, you're helping people according to their pain, according to their injuries and illness.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the hospital needs you to clear a bed, to get somebody upstairs. So
Yep.
even if it's like you have somebody with chest pain, Glenn, I need you to call and give report. Technically, I should be helping this person first, but the hospital, the system is like,
Yeah.
you need to get the patient
You need to
upstairs.
get exactly.
And if you don't do this, you're going to get a reputation. You are. It might not be
Yes.
fair. And you're thinking, my reputation should be that I'm a stellar nurse. I help people like the way I need to. I'm going to help this chest pain person. But the reputation you might get is, Glenn needs to give report. I need to clear this room. I need to clear this room. It's crazy like that. It also
It is.
highlights how important it is that we work together, because you got to have my
Yep.
back. Like, I'm trying to help this
Exactly.
person, and you recognize there's a bed.
And
There's a bed available.
That's
You
the
don't want
job.
people.
We are stuck together for 12 hours. We're making job. We make the job feel easier, even if it's not.
Yeah, you have
So it is.
integrity. I was thinking about you the other day, also because I knew we were having a podcast, but I was working with somebody and I'm like, man, vital signs haven't been done. I thought they were done when we started our shift. They haven't been done since 5 o'clock. It's 9 o'clock at night. It hasn't been done since 5 p.m. With you, every 4 hours minimum.
Yeah.
What do you think about being a man in this business? Because it's obviously female dominated. It's not a bad thing. It's just different, right? I think men and women are different. There's a joke about male nurses giving reports to each other. They're just like, yeah, bed 3. Yeah, he's with it. He's alive. Okay, bed 4. Because it's like, we just,
There's some videos.
that may not be a good thing. Maybe we're not as thorough. No, we are thorough. We just, I don't know. The men and women are different. What's your take on differences?
Our male CNA and our female CNAs is different, because I'm not being like sexist, but female, they are like, they're gonna take care of the patient, but as a female, they're gonna
Yes.
be like so soft, so kind with the
Yeah,
patient.
they have more of a
then us, we are-
nurturing
Yeah,
aspect.
exactly. So
I think
that's
men
their
are like,
nature.
not to cut you off, I think men are like, Mr. Fix It. What can I do? You know?
Just yeah.
How do I,
try to do this
and
and that.
women, to their credit, they get a little bit more into the undercurrent, into you feeling the way you're feeling.
Yes, a patient can talk about his life, and then a female aide gonna be like, listen, and then try to help. And then we have too. The thing is, we have 10 more patients waiting. So
Yeah.
sometimes, yes, we'll be kind. Yes, I heard what you're saying. So can
Yeah.
you give me a couple seconds, please? I'm coming right back to you.
Or
You just
like,
go
what-
do what you gotta do.
Yeah, it's like,
So
I'm
yeah.
like, I wasn't really here to hear why you're feeling this way. I just want to know if you want what you want to eat and what I could bring for you, make your life more comfortable. You want another blanket? You're like, we're more like, what can I do to
Exactly.
make you feel better? I don't want to hear a story sometimes. And look, I do listen to my patients, but yeah, you know what? The other night,
Yeah. When it's empty.
the other night I had 8 patients, then I had 9. They gave me an extra hallway patient. You are on a clock. You have to be able to go in and get to the point. And
Yes. Yes.
that's why it's also great to work in pairs, to have a CNA who can also cover some of those details.
Exactly. Yeah. Sometimes if I feel like you're stuck with a patient, the patient keep talking, and then I'll be like, "Oh, Glenn, oh, they're looking for you. They just call you at the desk. I'm just trying to help you because I feel like you're stuck." When you're a male CNA, they just call you to fix stuff. They
Yeah,
cannot hold that patient. They just call you. Just
There's more of the
carry that
caveman
patient.
aspect, because we are
Yeah.
stronger. So if we have to move a patient, or if there's a violent
Yeah.
patient, I feel like I get a little bit more.
They just call us. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, we do pay attention to detail. Anybody who hears your story knows that you're detail oriented. We just do it differently. Sometimes as a guy, because I'm tall and I'm a big guy, I feel like I have to overcompensate with being nice or soft to certain nurses, because I'm afraid they might think I'm intimidating, that they never met me
Yep.
before. Same with patients. Sometimes it's to your advantage, because I feel like female nurses, they get abused a lot more from patients. And I'm not talking about people with dementia. I'm not talking about people with the altered mental status. I'm talking about regular people who know better. Maybe they feel frustrated. I still don't think it gives people the right to threaten or to curse at nurses or whoever's working in the hospital. And I do notice that female nurses, employees in general, will get more abusive patients. It does work to my advantage at times to put on a more stern face, go into that room after handoff and be like, this is a collaborative experience. Whatever went on last shift isn't going to happen on this shift. The tough love, I call it. But it's an interesting business. Again, it's not for the sexism. It's just that there are differences between males and females in the business. Just highlighting some of the frustrations for me as a male nurse is that sometimes when you work and it's predominantly female, lots of review of what happened, lots of discussion on what's happening, on what's going to happen. But a lot of times in my male brain, I don't want to review things in detail, especially if I feel like things were fine. Why go back into it or
Exactly. Just
discuss too much of the future? Maybe because I'm not thinking that far ahead. I'm more focused on the immediate aspect. Sometimes I do feel like there is a bit of a disconnect on the shift simply because men and women are a little bit different. I find that women,
we are a little bit.
yeah, women to their
That's why
credit.
they always be like, you're supposed to always listen to your woman.
Yes. Yeah. Just like you listen to your wife. Women, to their credit, they'll have a conversation with somebody and they'll discuss it later on with a friend, or they'll think about it later and they'll analyze what they said, what the other person said. And that's great. Men don't do that. I don't think we do that. Sometimes what can be hard for me is when everything is structured along those lines, and I just don't do that. In fact, a lot of times, if everything goes well, I don't even remember. I just data dump it. Patient was happy, off to the next one. So if you want to talk about
That's
something, I'm like, I feel like I sound like a fool and I really have nothing to say. I don't even remember the person's name. Like I just, you unless something traumatic happened, I don't even
Exactly.
remember, let alone having a review. It is what it is. But I think males who go into the business, that's a little bit of a shock. That
Yeah.
things sometimes in a female dominated business or industry, whatever, you're going to have to get used to certain things.
To certain thing, yeah.
And not get frustrated, because sometimes you might come off a certain way. You don't want that to happen. You don't want to come off like
Yeah.
you're not listening. You don't want to come off like you have an attitude. You got to be careful
That can
sometimes.
easily happen. You can be in a bad mood,
Yeah.
not because of them. You're just in a bad mood, and then they're, oh, he's just being man. He's just trying to, yeah. So
Yeah, you're
sometimes that
overworked
happen.
sometimes. Sometimes
Yeah.
you're just overworked, or it's 5 in the morning and you're a little worn
Yeah.
out. I know you got to go soon. I just want to touch on a couple of things. I love the fact that you know exactly where you are and where you're going in the short term. You know that you want to be an LPN, to get your BSN, become a physician. You already have a plan for your
Yes.
2 siblings about bringing them over and being able to go to school and have a job that makes enough money to take care of everybody. And I commend you. You're an excellent brother. You're an excellent son. Do you eventually want to get your parents here?
Yes, sorry, I'm not being like too Asian, but in certain situation, when you from where I come from, you're supposed to know what is priority. It's like in the army. I've never been in the army, but I heard people talking. So you're supposed to know what is priority. If you're in the army, you're in a war, and then you see children bleeding, like 6 years old, she's bleeding, and then another old lady, she's 70 something bleeding. Which one you gonna take care of first?
Mm.
The kids.
Yeah, yeah.
And my mom and my dad, they are like 50 something. And then my little brother and sister, they are just 17. My mom and dad, they are like, they stuck together. They are together. They can fight together. But my little brother and sister, they are too young. They need somebody to take, about them. My dad, he's a great father. He's a great father. But when you're in Haiti, you can do things, but you feel like limited.
I feel
Yeah.
Americans, people learn what you just said about priorities when you have kids, but then also your parents are getting older. As much as you love your parents and you want to give back and be there for them like they were there for you, your priorities are your children. And a lot of
Yes.
times, unfortunately, you realize very quickly, especially when your parents start to, was it somebody has Alzheimer's or some other condition, you realize just how little time you have for your elder, for your parent. Just at one point of your life, your priorities would be your parents who are getting older, but then you have kids and very quickly they become your priorities. That's something that every
And
stroke.
then the thing is, if I help my little brother and sister, I know them. Now that's gonna be like easier for me. And probably like a couple times, I'm not gonna have to help my dad and my mom myself. It's gonna be the 3 of us.
Yeah.
You understand? Don't give me a fish. Show me how to fish.
Yeah.
So I'm
Great,
gonna
great
show him how to
expression.
fish.
Great expression. It never gets old to hear it.
Yeah, I'm gonna teach them, show them how to do it, and then they're gonna help me do it. My
Mhm.
dad and my mom, they're still young. My mom, I think this year she's gonna turn 50. So
Wow.
they are still young. Yeah, they are still
Yeah,
young.
they are
So we
young.
have time. We have time to help them. We have time
My
to make them
parents are
happy.
approaching 70, so My dad's 70, my
Damn.
mom's a couple of years from there, so it's a little different. I'm in my 40s. And just to get off on the side, you are pretty savvy online. You've made some money with social media platforms. You've helped me unofficially. Fred, what is this? Fred, how do I sell? I want to sell this at one point. How do I attach? You're a godsend on the floor for me, my friend. We will get into detail with that, but just your mindset to let people know that you're also exploring everything at your disposal.
Everything.
You're like seeing this phone and you're like, people make money with this. How can I make money with this? And that's just your mind. You explore every area of your life and how you can maximize it, how you can use it to the most. Work at a hospital and use a hospital to go to school. Become a nurse, become a physician, do it in steps. It's brilliant. You're a brilliant guy. I appreciate you coming on the podcast, Fred.
Thank you. Thank
You're,
you.
you're I'm glad that you got to focus on you a little bit because I know you don't brag or you don't go into your past a lot. You don't want people to feel sorry for you. I don't think anyone who
No.
hears this podcast is going to feel sorry for you. I think they're just going to like you all the more and respect you. But I'm glad that we could focus on some of your background because it deserves to be told. I think people need to hear these things and be reminded that it's a choice. You could focus on the bad or you could focus on the good.
Yes.
Yeah, that could be on your tombstone, hopefully many decades from now. Here lies Fred. I focused on the good.
Yes, on the good.
All right, Fred.
So
Fred,
it was it was a very pleasure to
Yeah,
talk to
thank
you.
you.
And then
Thanks
I know
for
people gonna watch that podcast. For now, it's probably like 100, 200, or 400 gonna watch that video. But I know for sure you are like motivated. So I know for sure in probably like a couple months you're gonna have millions. I hope that.
That'd be great. Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it, and I'll see you at work.
All right, see you at work.
Take care, man. And I totally forgot to say at the 5-minute mark and maybe at the 20-minute mark, if you like what you're hearing, please subscribe to the podcast. Go to mynursdad.com. Fill out the pop-up for my 35-page free guide, some study tips that I developed in the military for any student, and then also something in there for new nurses, tricks of the trade, tips that I developed on the floor to help you multitask. I call them the majors and minors. And there's also something in there for everybody, something that might be holding people back that I learned by caring for Marines in the field. That's also in there. And now I have a newsletter, and my light just fell. Forget it. We're going to keep going. Now I have a newsletter, and hold on. Let me fix this. Okay. So if you fill out the pop-up, you get that 35-page free guide. Even if you don't need it, I'm sure you know somebody who could benefit from it. But by filling out the pop-up, you subscribe to my newsletter. I won't over-email you, won't spam you. My mom, of all people, she's like, you have to remind people to subscribe because I forget half the time. And she's totally correct. And every time I have a guest on, I get so caught up in their story, so lost in their backgrounds. I forget. I totally forget. I think I'm going to reformat this so that the information is always on screen. I'm learning. I hope if you're a nurse, you have a CNA that works as well with you as Fred does with me. I think it's important to get stories like the one with Fred out to the public. I think this is what people need to hear. The podcast is on Spotify and YouTube. You'll automatically subscribe to my YouTube by hitting the subscribe button. I want to funnel people to the YouTube because not only does it have full episodes and stories, it also has short clips. Unlike Spotify, I have my short clips on my YouTube. Whoever you are, whatever your background is, never give up. Focus on the good, just like Fred has. I'm guilty of getting pessimistic. I'm guilty of feeling guilty, of being negative, of having a short fuse. I'm guilty of all of it. But people like Fred, I meet them and they just remind me that some people have it worse. And if they're not as negative as I am and they had it worse, what is my excuse? And again, as Fred said, what do you want your children to inherit? You want them to inherit that energy? You want them to learn that lesson from you, that what, bitter lessons? No, you want to persevere. You want to be resilient. You want to always look on the bright side. And if things are truly dismal, then what can you do to change them? Thank you for giving me an hour of your time. If you like what you've heard, please subscribe. If you didn't like what you hear, I thank you anyway. Stay hungry, be humble. Nurse Dad out.